Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Health and Hope. This is a place for us to just gather together, people who are concerned about their health and are wanting to do something about it. And so I'm glad you guys are here. And for anybody watching online, I'm glad you're checking in. I hope tonight's information is very helpful for you. For those of you who are new, we sometimes share some stories and things like that. Sometimes I have a video story. We also, I do a training on one of the habits of health. The whole idea is based on this book that Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson wrote, and he's the founder of the company, kind of put the whole thing together. And it's based on a 4-component system, not just a diet plan. But the 4 components of our system are a health coach, which is one of the things when he started this whole thing, he said the reason, and part of what he discovered was that the reason a lot of people lose weight and then gain it all back is because there's some really key ingredients missing in the entire journey. One of them is a health coach, somebody to walk you through the process, somebody to show you what to do once you get to your target weight, some accountability, some encouragement, all the things that you need that a coach can provide. The second component is community, actually creating spaces where people come together who are on this journey together, where they can encourage each other, where they can compare notes, where they can bounce ideas off of each other, and where they can inspire one another and those kinds of things. So community, the second component. Third component is the actual Habits of Health system. It's a very comprehensive system, a lot of very technical information, but also a lot of just really helpful guidance. This book here, there's 2 books. This book actually has a lot of spaces you can fill in. So there's questions that it asks and places you can fill in. So you're processing all of this information and you're really building an entirely new way of looking at your health. And again, not just about your diet, not just about nutrition, but in all kinds of different areas, health and wellness, mental, emotional, relational, obviously nutritional, fitness, all of those kinds of things. And then the 4th component is the actual product, the nutrition plan, the food that we use to help people in the process get to their goal weight and then establish new healthy lifelong habits. So that's kind of how this whole thing comes together. And there's a couple people in the room I don't know or have met for the first time. My name is Mylan. I'm the coach here in town. I started my company, True Wealth Coaching, WELLTH, stands for Health and Wellness, Body, Soul, and Spirit, last summer. And so I'm a health coach, and I love what I do, and a whole big part of the reason I love what I do is because of the people I get to work with. And so I lead this group for now, but I'm looking for others to join me so we can build a team, and we'll continue to work together. I personally, my own story, this last year I had kind of a job transition, found myself going, okay, what's next? And sometimes we're in those transitional phases. We have an opportunity to make some changes. We have an opportunity to kind of look at life, different aspects of our life, and go, I've got an opportunity to tweak right now. And so my health was one of those things. I was not like, a real mess per se, but I definitely was way over the weight that I wanted to be. Same thing, I had to come up for air whenever I tied my shoes. I can now again, tie my shoes without even bending over, but then I couldn't do that. Going out for a run, my knees were just screaming, and there was a lot of aches and pains. You guys all know the drill. When you get into your 50s, it just happens, right? And for me, I kind of just accepted that that's what happens. I'm old now, and so that's just the way it's going to be, right? But I decided that one of the things I was going to do is give it a shot. I worked out for about 5 months because in the past, that's what I always did. I went back to the gym, and boom, my body would respond. This time it didn't respond, and I lost, maybe 2 or 3 pounds and kind of firmed up a little bit in the course of 5 months, but that was it. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to give this thing a shot. My sister is a coach. Her and her husband have been doing it for years. And in 67 days, I lost 35 pounds as well. And I was just blown away. I felt like 20 years younger. I've been in maintenance now for several months, and I went away. I have to tell you guys this, because this is my victory. I still get to tell victories too. I went away to Phoenix for this conference, ate out 4 or 5 times while I was there. Came back thinking, all right, I'm gonna have to get right back on program, and I'm gonna have to. And I was down 2.5 pounds from when I left. And a lot of it was because of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the fact that this is about a system that goes way beyond a diet program that you do for a certain amount of time. It's really a new lifestyle. And when you embrace it and when you dive in, it makes a difference. So, anyway, I've been, over the last couple of months, I've been back in the gym working out. And I literally am like in the best shape of my life. And when I was in college, I was in good shape, and I'm loving it. I feel like, wow, all that stuff that I thought was gone because I was 50 ain't gone. It's back. So I love to share this with people because I really believe that it's made a big difference in my life. It's making a difference in other people's lives. And I have to share it. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So a lot of what I've realized is that I needed to fire my old energy management system back up. And that's one of the things that this teaches us. And so a few things that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to start with this concept right here. First, food is fuel. Now here's one of the things that I was always taught. I was always taught, you got to think of it like this. You got to think it's like food is fuel. And that's how I always felt. But what I realized is that food is fuel. It's not that I have to kind of imagine that, or that I've got to kind of like put this, weird twist on it to make it work. No, it literally is our fuel. And the problem is, any of you car guys in the room know that if you put the wrong fuel in a car, or your lawnmower, or your chainsaw, you're going to have some problems. And what we put into our body is fuel, whether it's good fuel or not. It's fuel. And the problem is that the culture that we live in is selling us bad fuel. And we're buying it up. Because it's cheap, it's easy, it tastes good. There's all kinds of reasons. It's culturally just kind of, we're in that, when we go to a potluck, man, I want the gooeyest stuff and we look at food not as fuel, but we look at it as a source of pleasure. And that's the thing. We talked last week about the fact that that's not the way it always was. Back in the day, food was literally scarce, and people spent centuries trying to figure out a way to make enough food so that everybody could have the food that they needed, so that they could have proper nutrition. Now we're way beyond that. The pendulum has swung all the way to the other side, and now for the most part, we look at food for the sake of pleasure. And we rarely actually use food for its intended purpose. So we've been taught to see it one way, but literally we have to look at it as fuel. And so we're going to start from that standpoint tonight. Now I believe that when God created all of this, God put it all together in this amazing way. God created everything with a plan, and He put us here on this earth, and He put the things on this planet to sustain our lives and to bless us. And part of that was food. He intended for the food to be fuel, but one of the things that He did to bless us that has kind of gone against us is He made it good. It tastes good. And so we've got to learn how to use what God gave us properly so that we can experience the blessed life the way that He wants us to. So here we're going to look at a little bit of where we're at right now with the kinds of foods that we have. All right, this is the Modern Life's Disease Path. This is in the Life book. Actually, I'm not sure if this is in the Life book or the Habits of Health book. I think it's in this one. The training about all of this is in there. But basically, here's what happens, and I think it's important for us to understand how this all works so that we can kind of make sense of it, right? Because it formulates how we process and how we think about it. So there's this baseline of insulin, there's a baseline of glucose, and these are the kind of places where those two things want to balance out, right? But the problem is we do things like drink an orange juice in the morning and eat a bagel, right? And immediately our blood sugar skyrockets. It takes off. Our blood sugar goes way up, and our body says, whoa, all that blood all that sugar in my blood is gonna mess me up. So we start producing insulin. Insulin is part of the whole process of our digestion and everything else, but when it sees that big spike, your body creates all kinds of insulin, which counteracts the sugar, right? And then the sugar takes a dive, but the insulin, still, your body's already told it, it's already ordered up the insulin. So it does this. And then once your body realizes the sugar is down, the insulin comes down, but then for lunch, we get a burger and a soft drink. And I don't know where the fries are, but man, I've never had a burger and a soft drink without fries, right? So we got the fries in there. And then of course, you know, if you're at Wendy's, you gotta have a Frosty. You gotta do all that stuff. And now, you know, you've got Culver's with, never mind. I'm not gonna get started because I'll take us all there. We don't need to go. But we do the same thing. Then again at lunch, we fill our body with all this stuff. Our sugar takes off, and then our insulin takes off. And then in the afternoon, you know, or in the mid-morning, and I hear it from all of you guys, and it was the same for me when I was at work. Somebody's bringing in a box of donuts, and they're still sitting there, or there's muffins, or there's candy, or there's something, right? So we do the same thing, and then we eat a meal in the evening. And I don't know who drew this out, but they missed a major one.
Ice cream.
Before bed. Right? You gotta have ice cream before bed. So, you know, there's a huge meal, and then before bed, I'm still usually craving something. You know, this is how life is in America for the most part. And what I just described, everybody's like going, yeah, so that's how we live, right? That's how it is. Well, the problem is that we do this, and I wrote down some of the things that happen. Basically, so we consume highly processed, high glycemic foods, and our blood sugar rises dramatically. Our body produces insulin to deal with that sugar, right? So the sugar plummets below normal. The brain sets off signals that cause cravings. Because when our sugar dives down below the line, this is where the cravings hit. This is where our body says, oh, I want more, I want more. And it keeps happening throughout the day, right? We keep getting these cravings. Then ignorant myelin searches through the fridge for something that looks good, right? So then we go to satisfy that craving, and we go grab the ice cream or the whatever, right? At the late night snack. And then the insulin levels remain elevated, so the body begins to rely solely on glucose. So what we've done is we've trained our body. You're gonna get plenty of glucose, sugar, simple carbohydrates, breads, you know, all of that kind of stuff. We've trained our body to just rely on it because it's coming. It's going to be there several times a day. And so what happens is our body continues, because it's designed and it's programmed to store fat, so it continues to store fat, especially the fat we put on our stomachs just before bed. And our body basically just says, yeah, we'll leave the fat reserves there. We'll need them. Someday we'll be starving. Someday, you know, Jen and I watched, what's the movie with Tom Hanks where he ends up on a deserted island?
We just watched it.
You watched it too? Yeah, it was on TV yesterday.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's when your body says, that's when I'll worry about my fat reserves, right? I'm going to put it all aside. It'll be there when I need it, because someday I'm going to get deserted on an island. But that day never comes, right? Yeah. So the extra glucose and saturated fats are stored in our adipose tissues. And then those wild swings in our blood glucose and insulin also lead to feelings of bloating, fatigue, and really disrupted sleep, literally emotional problems, depression, all of those things. All this going on up here, trust me, it messes with every system in your body. And so we struggle. Especially, and as our body ages, it has less ability to control these things. So all this stuff is even more wildly out of control, right? So the simple fact is, I'll go ahead and read this, until you can take control of how much, how often, and the quality of your food intake, you will struggle and likely fail to reach a healthy weight and body, right? So that's what this whole thing is about. We want to help educate you. We want to help inspire you. We want to help encourage you. We want to give you a system. We want to give you support. We want to give you what you need to be able to say, all right, this is what we've been doing. We've got to change the game if we're ever going to get healthy and be healthy, right? So what does a new, better plan look like? So here's what we're trying to achieve, right? a low glycemic breakfast or fueling in the morning, followed by another one a few hours later. You see, there's no big breaks that we have to try to arch over, right? What we propose, and what I believe, and we've heard lots of nutritionists say this for years, is that if we could do 6 well-balanced, healthy fuelings a day, that's a much better way for our body to deal with its food intake. Because food is fuel, right? And it is designed to give us energy to support the energy needs and the system needs of our body. And so we need to continue fueling it, but the up and down isn't so bad as long as it's not up and down and all over the place. And so this is what we really want to be able to produce, right? It's about creating a system to fuel our body in a healthy and effective way, and it requires seeing the purpose of food as fuel and not as a source of pleasure. So the goal is to provide a constant source of healthy food to maintain energy and keep the body in a balanced state of energy utilization without overloading your digestive system, right? So that's what we want to go for. The problem is, again, our culture isn't set up for that. Our grocery store doesn't provide, that system. Now there are ingredients for that system. That's part of what we begin to learn as we go through this process. But we got to get this all figured out, right? So eating every 3 hours is one of the most powerful habits of health in creating a healthy weight management system. Here are some benefits, and I'll see if you guys have some more when I get done with this list. But it helps control cravings because our body doesn't get to that place where our blood sugar drops because our insulin has spiked. So we don't. That's that kind of dynamic is what really creates those deep cravings, those almost undeniable cravings. We experience increased energy. We're less sluggish mentally and physically. We have more clarity of mind. We feel more satisfied. Instead of, a break between breakfast and lunch and dinner, we've got a couple of other things in there that keep us kind of satisfied and in that state where we're not depleted. It helps us break bad eating habits and the addictive power of food. We also, and this is one of the things that I didn't expect, but I really enjoyed, was this more level, more stable feeling. This is where the bloating, I had acid reflux or heartburn almost, I think every day, often a couple times a day. And since I've been on this program, I haven't. Well, I'm not putting big dumps of food on my stomach. And my stomach seems to enjoy that and appreciate it very much. Improved gut health, right? Way less stress on our digestive system. There's a positive effect on our insulin and cholesterol levels overall, especially helpful to diabetics and pre-diabetics who do not handle fasting or sugar well. So it keeps us from getting on either end of that extreme. Anything else that you guys can think of? Maybe those of you who are on the program, who've done the program, who can say, here's some things that I noticed that I really appreciated about this particular system.
My bones don't ache.
Your bones don't ache. Yeah, all that sugar, right, was creating problems with inflammation and all of that.
And I'm way more flexible.
Yeah, good.
I'm like, wow. In the story.
Come out and do a demonstration or anything?
Hey Patrice, how long have you been on?
I'm not sure. 6 weeks maybe?
Okay,
6 weeks.
and you've already noticed that, that's.
Oh, I
that's
didn't notice
huge.
it way
Like
early.
like 10 days, right?
Yeah, we were like very astonished.
You too shy about 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah.
See how long you've been on this? 5 days, and I've lost 7 pounds, and I've
Wow.
noticed that when I get up out of bed, I don't hurt, I don't have the discomfort, the pain, the ache, just a chronic, don't feel good type
I ain't
of
felt like
thing.
that in years.
So, I mean, actually, I feel better just losing the 7 pounds. I think it's a lot of water weight, inflammation,
I could cross my legs, I can, oh my goodness, just simple things, but it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good. Anything else?
I would say working out, just, there's so much more energy.
Yeah.
You know, I've always worked out, but I never had the energy that I have now. No.
Yeah.
I have noticed, cause I drink a lot of coffee. I work from home, I'm in front of a computer 8 hours a day, rarely take an actual break. I eat at the computer, everything, and, so I would drink a pot of coffee, and then around 2 o'clock, I'll have another cup, and while you're on this diet, don't eat so much, because you'll be like, that coffee really gives you a lot of energy. You don't realize it, because, you ate so much, and then the coffee, you're trying to get energy, but
Yeah.
being honest, not having much.
Get one of those things under your desk.
That little treadmill.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great idea.
Yes.
You know, one of the things I really appreciate about the company that I work for and the system that we do is that the focus isn't on the product. It's not like, this is some miracle product. No, it's about an entire system. It really is about producing a better, healthier way to do nutrition, movement, sleep, all of those kinds of things. And so the focus isn't on some kind of magic product, but it really is on figuring out a formula that just works better for life. And so even when you're in maintenance, you know, whether you're using the product or not, the system is what really sustains.
I probably use 3 or 4 product fuelings a day yet.
Mhm.
Just working, maybe have 2 lean and greens, but yeah, it's been, and it's been so smooth. The one thing I like is, right before we got started on the program, my wife and I decided we gotta stop the late evening snacks.
Yeah.
Well, you get on this program, guess what? You can have a late evening snack, and it's still okay for you. So that kind of balanced that out. And I was going, I just quit doing this. I don't need to do this anymore. And I said, oh, you're supposed to have a bar or something at night. And going, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's going, all right, little bonus there.
And you do it, you still lose the weight.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. One other thing is that I stay out of the grocery store. I
Yeah,
don't have
Yeah,
those
that's
impulses
true.
or the money spent or, the whatever all goes with that.
right.
I also love the fact that the lean and greens are so, cause I love to cook. I love cooking. I love to make things, and the one thing I appreciate is the beauty of what it looks like on the plate. Well, the lean and greens are really fun to make. There's so many great recipes, and that changed everything as I go to the store. I'm intentional now. I know
Intentional, there
exactly,
you go.
it's
Yeah.
being, everything that you're intentional about is, when you're very intentional, in this program, that's what you have, is intentional, so. I do
Yeah.
love that.
Wow, that's good to know, cause I'm
Yeah.
always lost in the grocery store.
Yeah.
You just wander around grabbing stuff that looks good, right? That's true. That's true.
That's why I always see Lynn there.
Too many choices.
Everybody my grocery getter?
And Gary, you guys mentioned in your video, I think, maybe you could expound a little bit more. It seems to me you mentioned that after you kind of did the math, you thought you were spending about the same or less?
Same or maybe less, maybe a little bit more, but that's one thing that we really notice. Because of course, anything like this, all of a sudden, I'm not gonna say sticker shock, but always say, well, this is how much I gotta spend a month per person. But once we kind of did it, started looking at what we were getting, we probably actually go to the grocery store more now because we're more intentional about what we're getting. And then, you're going through greens a lot quicker, so you gotta go get that.
Yeah.
Getting some meats or some kind of thing like that, and going with intention of what we're gonna make with that. But then, like I said, it's gotta be, because, I suppose if you're thinking you're gonna spend $200 a week at the grocery store, and then you add this on top of it, you're going, man, I don't know about this. But when you start looking at it like that, it really did. It's kind of very much right in the same vein as what we were spending before, so.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Well,
really good.
weight loss is a big, huge, giant industry, right?
Yep.
Huge. And I was saying to Lynn on our way here, I says, but we've seen that it works with people that we know, we can see with our own eyes, that this, if we did it correctly, isn't a waste of money.
Yeah.
And that if we tried to do this out on our own, we put ourselves back into that guessing game,
Yep.
not sure of the science behind the nutrition that you need for the fuelings.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you got an idea that you want protein, but do you do protein for your fuelings at all of those 5 times? I don't know, but you guys would tell me.
Yep.
You know, I've read so much in the past year that my head's spinning, like I don't know if I'm supposed to have more fat. And what is fat? You know, I mean, I just get all like, oh, and I just like put it all away too much, you know?
It overwhelms you.
It does overwhelm.
You can't have that won't happen with this program, that's what, you don't need more overwhelm in our world, right?
Well,
That's why they keep it
It's very simple.
It's
I
very
hope so,
simple.
because when I looked up on the website and I saw these boxes and I got overwhelmed that there were so many choices and I thought, oh, I felt myself shutting down.
Here's the cool part. Those choices are completely interchangeable. So it's not like you have to do this one at this time and that one at that time. It's
Yeah.
pick any one of them at the different times. So 6 fuelings a day is what we do. That's what this whole thing is about, 6 fuelings a day. 5 of them are the product, at least during the weight loss portion. And then 1 is what we call lean and green, which is what Joy was just talking about. We've got all kinds of recipes for those. It's a simple lean protein and greens, and that's what you eat throughout the day. It's very
It
simple.
does have fat included. in
Yes,
it.
yeah. Well, let's talk about the difference between low weight and healthy weight. One of the things at the conference, they had a panel of people that spoke, and 2 of the guys on the panel said, I didn't get on this program because I needed to lose weight. One of them said, I have a very high metabolism. I've been skinny all my life. As a matter of fact, when my spouse, thought I was going on the program, they were like, why? And they went on the program anyway. And for them, they saw huge health benefits. A lot of the stuff you were talking about, achy joints and better sleep and, a lot of those different things. Now, losing weight, I always tell people this, that's just the sexy, cool result of this system. That's kind of the thing that catches everybody's attention. That's like the big, like you said, it's a how many billions of dollars industry because everybody wants to lose weight. We want to look better, right? But I found that health is the really powerful result. That's the result that you walk away with going, now this was worth it. This is important. And that's part of the reason. If it was just, because people want to lose weight, it wouldn't have grabbed my attention. I don't think I would put my time and energy into this. I want to live a better life. I want people to live a better life. And that's what's happening for those that really embrace the whole system, not just the product, not just the weight loss portion, but the whole system. I've learned that low weight and healthy weight are 2 very different things, and low weight does not necessarily equate to healthy weight. We've got an entire system going in here, and what we see on our bones, between our muscle and our fat, our adipose tissues, is not the whole health picture. And so what we're really going for, this addresses the entire process, not just the amount of weight that shows up, the number that shows up on the scale, right? So I was surprised to achieve a healthy weight and experience what that really felt like. Now we rarely think about it, but all of us are on a diet. And let me talk about the concept of diet for a minute. So diet can mean, these are the 2 definitions that I found for the word diet, the kinds of foods that a person, animal, or community habitually eats. For example, some people have a non-meat diet, or a certain, you've heard of certain diets that just limit the certain food choices. That's one form of the word diet. The other one, a special course of food to which one restricts oneself, either lose weight or for medical reasons, right? So the problem with the first one is that we, as people, now in the culture that we live in, habitually eat the kind of foods that are not doing us any favors. They're hurting us, and they're producing ill health, right? So too often we do this. We make this the basic premise of the word that we use, diet, right? And we think, okay, I'm on a diet, which is an event. It's an event that may last a few months, but then there's an ending point to it, right? And at this conference that I was at, John Maxwell was talking about, setting a finish line. He says, what happens when you put a finish line on something you're doing? When you get to it, you're finished, right? And he meant it in the other way of the word. You're finished, right? You're done. And unfortunately, a lot of times we look at a diet the same way. We look at it as, I'm going to lose this amount of weight, and there's an end point. And when I get to that, I'll be at the end. Now what? Right? Well, we've got to put ourselves in a system that helps us move through that one finish line. Is that one finish line is just one lap of the race, and realize that we've got to keep going. That a healthy lifestyle and healthy future is really what we want for our lives, right? Dr. Anderson said this, remember, it is the daily repetition of actions and behaviors that will help you to transform from your current state of health to your desired state of health and well-being. Now, we got to give ourselves some grace when we screw up or when we realize that we've been doing things in an unhealthy way. But we got to realize that time plus consistency equals success. And if we will do consistently the right thing for an amount of time, we'll achieve success. So we got to give ourselves some time to get this right, one step at a time. Now, the key is not just eating every 3 hours, but it's using a strategic approach with a balanced nutritional plan that incorporates fueling every 3 hours. Again, if I throw bad fuel, even if I do it 6 times a day, so it's not just about how often I do it, but it's about what I eat. We're going to talk about that next week. So next week we're going to really dig into what do these fuelings need to be and how does that all work. But we've got to take into consideration the correct number of calories, the balance of carbs, fats, and proteins, proper levels of vitamins, minerals, probiotics, fiber, and other bio benefits, and then of course proper hydration, right? So here's the deal. This program that we promote is not a fad. It's not smoke and mirrors to lose weight. By the way, I think anybody who's injecting a chemical to lose weight is really taking a dangerous shortcut. There are a lot of ways that people are losing weight. You mentioned that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's all kinds of different ways that people are using to lose weight. How many of those are creating true health, and how many of those are just tricking your body into shedding fat cells, right?
Right.
But this is a healthy, sustainable way to fuel your body in a way that will help you to attain your ideal weight and stay in that healthy weight range long term. Now here's one of the tools that it's a habit, one of the habits of health. The tool is this clock. Now, these dark sections here are the hours of the day that we should be sleeping, probably, unless we have, a third shift job or something like that. And it doesn't, our sleeping doesn't have to be during that time. Obviously, this can shift, but we need to have about 8 hours of good, solid sleep. Part of some of the habits that we learn is that before bedtime, we need to have a pattern that we follow that will help us to prepare for sleep. If we are going crazy, gangbusters, playing video games on our computer or working hard late at night, and then we stumble into the bedroom and fall into bed, we're not practicing good, healthy sleep behaviors. So we need, there's some things that we're going to work on farther in this system that prepare us for sleep. And then in the morning, there's some things that we need to do after we wake up in order to prepare and get ready for the day. These are obviously the daytime work, play, activity hours, right? And so what we want to do is during that time, we want to space out our fuelings every 3 hours. Notice Gary, fueling right before bed. That's what you were talking about. That's not so bad, right?
Brownie with the yogurt chips is.
There you go. That's perfect bedtime
Yeah,
snack,
that's good.
right? Obviously, that's not in the hour before bed, but it's shortly before bed. And one of the things that really helped me with was if I didn't do that fueling, man, I was craving big time. But that fueling just a couple hours before bed really helped, right? So you want to fuel the first time, 30 minutes to an hour after you get up. You want to get your metabolism moving. You want to get it going. One of the things that we find though is what you fuel with first in the day is what your body is going to expect for the rest of the day. So if we fuel with orange juice and a bagel or something sugary, all of those cereals that have lots of sugar and all that kind of stuff, that's going to kind of get our body going, okay, that's what's on the menu for today, and that's what it's going to crave for the rest of the day. But if we start off right, it gets our metabolism moving in the right direction, right? We need to set up some cues. So that means we need to figure out a way to remind ourselves to fuel every 3 hours. Now for me personally, I've created it's a calendar. I bend the rules just a little bit. I eat at 9 in the morning. My first fueling is at 9 in the morning. And I fuel at 9, noon, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Those are my fueling times. And I hit pretty close to that every day. So I've been in maintenance for 4 months now, and I still follow this. It's not something that I quit when I get to my target weight. And then you fuel every 3 hours. So we got to set up a way to remind ourselves. Now you could do that through a timer on your phone, or any number of. What ideas do you guys have? What are some different ways you could remind yourself to fuel every 3 hours?
There's an
The app.
app,
Have you been able to figure that out?
yeah,
How to
Yeah.
alert you?
yeah. Oh, it doesn't alert me, I just,
Okay,
I
but you
constantly.
track it.
I know, I track it.
There is a tracking thing there, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Good.
but, yeah, I didn't know if there is something on there to ding me, that would be great.
I think there used to be, because I find references to it all over the place, but it doesn't. I can't figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
But,
I don't,
I have.
I try to, watch the 2 to 3 hours, but there's times that my body says, you need some.
mhm.
And I look at the clock and go, oh man, it's about time to have something,
Yeah,
so,
that's
so I'll do that because, this 6 times a day is way new to me. It was, your 3 big meals and I love a gigantic big cooked breakfast, but I don't get to have those as much anymore, so, but that's okay. It's still working out, but I do that kind of thing, so
Yeah.
that's kind of what's happening. I don't have a good rule. Just kind of be aware of the clock.
Yeah. Yep. Good. It is a bit to get used to, but again, you gotta be patient with yourself, and over time, you get into that new rhythm. A lot of this is breaking old habits and replacing them with new habits, figuring out new rhythms, and listening, learning to listen to your body. I think, some of the things that we do, I weigh in every single day. I still weigh in every single day, and part of that alerts me in the morning. Okay, I'm watching today, and I'm listening, and I'm much more in tune to myself than I used to be, and that's helping me with all of that as well.
Is there a science behind how we came up with fuelings for every 2 to 3 hours? I mean, who came up with that? That doctor?
No, I've seen that in several different places. He did a lot of research, and I think he confirmed that is an ideal way to fuel your body. And a lot of it has to do with that whole, the graph. Keeping it tight and keeping it low. Instead of big spikes a few times a day, we want to have, more of a balanced approach. That way your body's not bottoming out on sugar or carbohydrates and glucose, but it's also not peaking and causing your insulin to go crazy.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. So it's, Yeah, and I think most nutritionists would say that that really is the best way to fuel our bodies. All right. So, part of the coaching thing too is that you have somebody to discuss all of these things with, somebody to kind of talk through it with, process it with, ask those kinds of questions, you know, and all of that. And that's what we really want to do. And then, of course, the community is here so that we can support each other. I think even the conversation that we've had around tonight, it's one thing for me to get up here and yap because I'm the pro, I'm the guy who's, you know, doing this for a living. But it's different when people who are on the program, when you guys are all saying, this is what works for me, and this is how I've learned, and this is what I'm experiencing. And so tonight was all about the fueling. First of all, realizing that our body needs fuel to run on, and that food is designed to be fuel. Whether it's good fuel or bad fuel, it is fuel. If we put bad fuel in our bodies will run rough and they will be unhealthy. If we put good fuel in our bodies and we do it in the right kind of rhythm, we can develop good, sustainable health. And again, it goes back to the way that God created us. God created our bodies to really run smoothly, to be efficient, to be machines that could get us around, that could create energy, conserve energy, and have it available when we need it. Our bodies can produce healing. Our bodies are literally designed to heal ourselves. When we cut ourselves, our body will heal itself. There's all of these things that we were designed to do, and when we find the proper ways to do it and apply those methods, our bodies run much more efficiently and healthy for the long haul.